Going live in a second here. Hello, everyone. It is your boy Santi, and I am here with some amazing special guests to cover Stranded Episode 1. I've got two good ankles. Really excited to get into it and talk about this episode, that first challenge, all of the things. So first up, let's bring in Coach Drew. What is up, Coach?
I'm doing well. I'm glad that I had the right perception during the cast assessment about a certain player that we're going to talk about later. But
Okay.
I'm really excited. It was a great first episode, and I'm looking forward to shooting the shit with y'all about it.
Awesome. Me too. And next up, we have one of the editors behind the scenes that gave us this amazing product, Matt. Welcome, Matt. How are you doing?
Oh my gosh, I'm freaking out. Thank you so much for having me. This is so exciting. Yeah, I've had such a fun time, like just being behind the scenes, getting to learn about all these players and help bring their stories to life. It's been so much fun, and I think even though it's only episode 1, I think there's a lot to break down here. So I'm excited to get into it with y'all.
Yeah, me too. And then a little bit later in the hour, we'll have the eliminated player join us, and we'll talk about their elimination and kind of how they got there. So we'll just get started, guys. All right. So we get the intros. What do you guys think? Coach, did your opinions change from the draft to the intros?
No, not at all. And in fact, I think I texted somebody. I was like, we could have I have liked that the first 30 minutes were dedicated to everyone getting a confessional, talking about this is how the game's going to go with me and all that. But then Gibble gets up there and says, this is everyone's LRG history. And at the end, I'm like, they could have just saved that, or they could have just put him first and just skipped everyone else. But I know I really like getting everyone's perspectives. It does seem like between where they fit when they filmed the pregame content and them being out there, that most people kept the same type of mentality. And I think that is shown when it's asked, hey, what kind of game do you guys play? And nobody says strategic, even though about half of them said strategic during their pregame interview. And someone points it out. It's like, oh yeah, no one raised their hand for it. And I think it'd be really dumb if they did. So I really enjoyed that segment of the episode.
My hand would have been lowered the entire time. I'm not raising it for nothing. You guys can find out in a little bit. What would you have done, Matt? Would you have raised your hand at any of them, or would you have just been like,
I would have gone out of my way to point out, like, some of y'all are lying, because I know some of y'all were in that pregame thing saying you were going to be the most strategic person on this cast, and everyone's like, I guess I'm good at running. So I loved that. And I think that everyone collectively concocted the BS and then saw through everyone else's. So I think it was a nice way to collectively as a group be like, okay, we're playing the game right off the bat. There's nowhere to hide, as they say. So it was a fun watch. Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoy the intros. I feel like with the videos that we watched before the cast assessment and then the intros, I really, even though I know the players, or some of them at least, I really got to know them. So I think from a viewer's perspective, it immediately takes you into, okay, like I'm rooting for certain players here based on what they said in their intro videos. So thank you guys for doing that. I appreciate it. It was really nice. Allowing us to get to know them better.
Yeah.
Okay, so they've asked the questions, and now Will reveals that it's going to be one world. Everybody's living together. What are you guys' thoughts?
You can go first, Drew.
Okay, so I like the one world twist as a concept. And it sucks that it happened when it happened on the show, but whatever. I think that when a One World Twist is done right, we can get some very compelling things. And I know I'm jumping ahead here, but one of the most compelling things that's probably going to happen episode 2 is the conversation that was had at the summit, because those are two totally different, not totally different, but different enough that if someone gets caught and people already don't trust Gibble, that's going to affect the game long term. But I really enjoyed the One World. Huh?
You spoiled who goes to the summit.
Oh,
it's fine. It's fine.
But I do feel like it's with this cast already knowing most of each other. It's the best way to do it. They all know each other. Just let them play with each other at least somewhat.
Yeah. I agree, and I think like I was wondering because like I even though I've helped with the editing, I basically know more than y'all know. So I was so curious in the pregame stage, like, what is this nowhere to hide? What is it going to mean? And I'm like, oh yeah, that'll do it. Like it's really a lawn. Like there really is. There isn't a bush, a tree to hide behind. They can't dig a tunnel, hide in the house. They can't do anything to disguise any sort of method to their madness when it comes to their social game. So I think especially because I picked up on this a little bit in the pregame, but holy crap, these people all know everything about each other. Like every single person was like, I know like not 7 or 8 of these people. Like not just know, but like I've played in LRG with like 7 or 8 of these people. So there's so much backstory that I feel like we're just like scratching the surface with. And so I'm so excited to see how those impressions linger into this game, especially with the two tribes having the ability to sort of commingle and gossip and talk crap about each other. It's going to be so fun.
Yeah, I really, really enjoy the twist. I am of the fan that the One World Twist should come back if done properly. Like I hated in Survivor that they were one world because they were on the same beach, but they had to stay separated. Right? Do you remember that correctly? Like they couldn't interact and like talk to each other.
They could interact.
Oh, they could, but they kind of forcibly stayed apart, right? Like they never crossed tribe politics.
Did, and that's pretty much it.
We don't have to talk about Colton. That's one of my least favorite players.
Really,
but yeah, like I think One World is awesome, but you're right. There's nowhere to hide. Like when Daniel was talking about the porta potty strategy. I'm like, girl, like if 2 people are in the porta potties for 20 minutes side by side, they either got problems or something else is going on. Because that's like, but also it shows you the kind of level like of gamer that Daniel is. Like he's immediately thinking, where can I have conversations privately to where nobody sees me?
Yeah.
I don't know if I would want to do that in the porta potty, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do.
Options are limited, and if you can realize, and it's the same thing that when John and the rest of the crowd are watching these other tribe of strategizing, it's like, yeah, let's just sit here and watch who talks to who, so that when they come to us at a swap or a merge, they can't sit there and say, oh, we're not close. You can watch, even if everyone is talking with everyone as you're visualizing them, you see how people interact with each other. You know, I don't want to call it code switching, but for the purpose of this, we'll just call it code switching. Yeah. You interact differently with different people. And if you see that happening and you already have immunity, no one can come tell you, oh, yeah, we're not close. Like, well, that's a lie because I saw that. But I'm not going to, I'm not the type of person to call that out immediately because I want to get on your good side. But I feel like there are going to be players in the game that clock that out there.
Yeah, I would be watching everybody. I'd be like, doo, 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 doo.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, I would have grabbed one of the chairs off the porch and just sat like center of the lawn and just like looked around at everybody like this. I see 2 people going to the bathroom at the same time. I'm like, medical. Yeah. Make sure they're okay. They've been in the bathroom for 15 minutes. Just check on them. Yeah, open the door.
It's so easy in that scenario to watch the chain of information, basically, is how what happens. When everybody goes on their speed dating, if you see like person A goes to person C, then back to person B, then back to person D, and then go back to person B to check in, like you watch all of it happen. So I made the comment in the chat earlier, and I would love you guys' opinions, but I feel like the players in this cast who have played the challenge type LRG will fare better in this kind of twist because of the way the challenge is designed, or even Big Brother is like you have multiple people to create multiple strategies with versus just the 8 on your tribe. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I would agree. Especially like it's this really is not a season where you can let's just pull in a bunch of numbers and just sort of hold down the fort, because it's going to fall apart as soon as we have a swapper emerge, and they're already suspecting that a swapper emerge is coming really soon, and we have no way of knowing, but there's a very good chance that it's going to happen, and yeah, I think that it forces them to be a lot more discreet. And actually, the one thing I noticed is, do you guys notice that there were almost no one-on-one conversations the entire episode? I think there was maybe one scene with Nathan and Matt. Everything else was in 3s or 4s because nobody wants to be like, oh, there's a duo over there. They just made a final 2. They can't.
Yeah. And so and going off of that, I would say that like Big Brother in the challenge, I think, yeah, you're right. Big Brother, it's the more social game of the big 3. If you're put in a situation where you just have to get people to like you, you're great. The challenge, I know I've watched one season of the challenge with one with Tyson on it, but they all live in like the same little barracks thing. So I get that. One World, and in this, I never thought that I would bring up this person twice in the first 12 minutes, but the reason that the 4 best players in One World were Sabrina, Kim, Troyzan, and Colton. The reason that Colton was able to have full control of his SWAT tribe was because of the bonds that he made during the One World twist. It's the same thing with Kim, same thing with Troyzan, same thing with Sabrina. When they inevitably swap, I don't think it's going to be tribe lines. It's going to be who has put themselves in the best spot with everyone. And
Socially.
Yes, and challenge performance is not going to matter, I don't believe, because everyone kind of suspects that a swap's going to happen soon. So if we're going to swap, who cares if we lose another challenge? We just vote somebody else out, we swap, we move on. So I do agree with that.
Yeah. It's a fine line, because you want to set yourself up for when that happens, but you don't know when it's going to happen. You want to build bonds and get numbers with people on the other tribe, but if your tribe loses immunity, then you've made yourself a target with the people on your tribe, because they know that you'll be better protected in the future rounds. So it's a interesting tightrope to walk, and that's probably why we don't see a lot of One World like merging interactions in this episode yet. But I definitely think it's coming.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so you guys have told them One World. You've split them up into their 2 tribes. So we have the first tribe, which is Vakalakaka, that consists of Alex, Andrew, Dave, Amir, John S., Matt, right? Am I right on this? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Megan, Nathan, and then you have the Paw Paw tribe, which consists of Bex, Bennett, Daniel, Gibble, John V, Steven, and Troy.
And Brooke. Yeah.
And Brooke. Did I miss Brooke? I'm so sorry, Brooke.
Brooke, we love you.
Yeah.
Underestimating Brooke.
Did you guys think of questioning John S. when he said Bakalakaka meant stranded in Fijian, or did you just swear with it?
Honestly, when I was editing that part, like doing the fact check thing, I was genuinely trying to find, like, I was on like Wiktionary, like the Wikipedia of like of like translating things. I was trying to find. I was like, maybe it's just spelled differently than I think it is, or something. I was trying so hard to like prove him right, and I was like, there's no way that this is what this word means.
Yeah, Because the actual translation, I did look this up, is Baka Lolo Mataki. And I was like, that wasn't even close. So then I thought, well, maybe he just made it up. Because that's
Honestly,
kind of
it's
a
camp.
It's
I
such a
love
fun editing trick because I think most Survivor fans, as they're watching this, are programmed to think that the next scene is going to be a confessional of someone saying, "No, I just made that shit up. It was actually this." And instead, it's like, "No, we actually fact checked it, and both of these people are wrong." And it kind of seems like because you did that, that both of them probably thought they were telling the truth.
So funny. All right, we get to the challenge. And correct me if I'm wrong here, Coach, but didn't Will say when we talked to him during the cast assessment that this wasn't going to be like a deprivation type game? It was going to be more strategic. Did I remember that correctly?
I do remember that.
I think
Okay,
you said like a
good.
deprivation light. Like there's some
Yeah.
element of it, but it's
Okay,
not.
that's fair.
It's not like Outlast.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, because when I saw that first challenge, I was like, girl, like you're going to do this to them off the
Off the
gates?
bat. Bet.
I would have been like, bye, because that was a hard challenge. How long did it go for, Matt?
From what I was able to see, it seemed like about 5.5 to 6.5 minutes, somewhere in there.
Wow,
They did a lot of running like, in that heat. Like,
Dang,
Could
y'all
not have
did
been me.
that fast. Y'all made
Could not
it
have
seem
been
like
me.
it was.
I for sure thought that thing went for like a good 20 minutes. Not in the episode, just watching how everything was happening. It's like, oh yeah, that sucks because it's the heat and they've been running for so long. If you're saying it's 6 minutes, jeez, that's insane.
Yeah.
Crazy. Okay, so then Paw Tribe wins, right?
Mhm.
And Gibble is chosen to go to the summit, and he selects Ymir. Is that correct? To make sure how this happened. I watched it twice and I still don't remember everything.
So what happens is
let's talk about the summit because I have opinions.
Mhm.
So first of all, if I were Gibble and I let Ymir take the island, the first thing I would do to establish trust is say, what is our story? Let's make sure we're saying the right thing because we're in a one world scenario where we can't necessarily lie because in normal Survivor, when you have two tribes, everybody goes back to the tribe and they give their version of whatever happened to the tribe. And generally in games, it doesn't circle back unless the person's a really bad liar to confirm all the information. So like it was astounding to me, like they didn't compare notes or try to do anything. Oh, let me see what Troy. Okay, Troy has a correction for you, Matt. He said it was 30
Oh, okay,
minutes.
yeah, because like I said, like Will does the bulk of what goes in, what goes out. So I only get certain cuts. So I was like, oh, this is pretty short. But that makes a way more sense because those people look tired.
Drag him again, Taylor.
I was gonna say this dude came in wearing all he had Adidas, Under Armour, and all. No, I'm making shit up, but he comes in looking like a pro athlete, and it's like, damn, dude. What's going on
I mean,
here?
honestly, John was the perfect person to fall out first with the chain or the link breaking because it wasn't physically his fault. It just broke, and it was kind of ironic of that. That's how this challenge started, and that's also how it ended with Andrew breaking the bag somehow from holding it.
Yeah.
That was crazy. I know. I could tell Andrew's frustration of like I was just holding it.
I felt so bad, especially because I feel like Vakalakaka had the right strategy, and like those four that were left, like you could see that they have the stamina. Like I think that they would have caught up to Papa eventually.
Ymir was sprinting. Ymir was sprinting the entire time.
Yeah,
and it's like I wish I had that type of endurance because even when I was an athlete, I didn't have that type of endurance. To see him just continuously just out sprint his own teammates, I'm like, they're clearly going to win. I don't know why they're dragging this out in the edit, and it's because they don't clearly win. And yeah, you do feel horrible for Andrew. And even then I didn't think that Andrew was in any jeopardy of going home, but like that, it sucks losing like that.
Yeah. Okay, back to the summit. Coach, what are your thoughts?
So in the pregame interviews, Ymir said, I'm not telling shit to anyone about any advantages that I have. I'm overly strategic, this, that, and the other. Gibble says, I don't care about advantages. I'm more trying to make these social interactions, blah, blah, blah. And that's the best. That was my favorite part of Gibble's pregame interviews because I hate advantages too, and I love the social game. So seeing them sit there after they both say, oh, yeah, such and such stayed at my house last night, blah, blah, blah. They're sitting there, and it goes exactly how I think it's going to go. Like, when Imir's sitting there saying, Gibble should know better than to just fold like that, it's like, no, based off of what I saw, I feel like that's probably what they should, what you said, what they should have done is, okay, we know who's going to open the box. Can we figure out what our actual story is? Because, yeah, even if Imir doesn't plan on working with Gibble later in the game, he wants to at least make sure that their stories sound right, because he's going to sound like a liar, even if he's telling mostly the truth. He's going to sound like a liar, and if they lose again, he might go home. So I think that's the only thing that I would have changed is, yeah, just get your stories right, and you're good.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, and if we're being honest, if I was Gibble, I would have dug my heels in a little bit longer than that, just to you got to get something out of him. You know what I mean? Like if you have the ability to, if you have any leverage of you want something that I have the power to give you or not give you, you gotta use that to get something, get some information, get some expression of loyalty. Like I get that they stayed at the same place the night before, but you gotta, you know what I'm saying? I think that
they also had played a game together, I think 2 weeks to a month before.
Right. Yeah.
So they had that established relationship.
Maybe it was assumed and understood. That's true.
Yeah. Or yeah, Gibble was just like, I'm not going to fight this guy. He can paint himself a big target, and I'm going to lower my threat level.
But yeah, it is.
But
wild to me. It is wild to me to see them come back, and then not only did they not keep their story straight, Imir's telling different stories to different people of his tribe, but they're not even keeping their story straight with each other. In one world, crazy. That is absolutely going to blow up both of their games.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a matter of time.
So we get to the strategy portion, and it seemed like it was kind of all over the place. And I want to talk to the eliminated house guest, or eliminated player, I'm not talking about my brother, because I want to ask why they did something specific. So I'll wait to hold on to that question. Any comments about the scramble?
Where everyone's at, we're on the other tribe, they're like, where's Dave? They lost Dave. And it's, he's doing a confessional. Because I was like, yeah, where is Dave? Oh, he's not in the porta potty. And someone says that about 3 times. The strategizing part, I think the benefit to this being an LRG is we get to focus more on that. And I was convinced that the person getting voted out was going to get voted out at the beginning of the strategizing. And by the end, it's like, yeah, maybe not. Maybe this is just some fun little editing trick, and this person's not actually going home. So when they eventually did, it's like, I should have just stuck with my initial guess.
Yeah. Okay, tribal council. We get there. It's a cool little setup, and we have our first eliminated player, which I think we should bring them on now, guys. Don't you think? So the first player from Stranded Season 1. Welcome. Hello, Matt.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to talk about the show, and just me and my my currently now 2 strong ankles are happy to be here.
Awesome. Okay, so Matt, you've heard us talking a little bit about you backstage. So let's kind of get through this. You arrive there. It's your first LRG, right? You've never played before, except for some fun games with your friends. And you start hearing about One World, and you start hearing about how there's players who have past connections and all this stuff going on. What was kind of going through your mind space of how do I set myself up with what is happening right
I from the beginning, before I knew One World, I like remember just in the interviews, when Will was interviewing us, I kind of was just saying, like the fact that I am new, just like this noob, is something I'm going to play into and try to kind of make it like to my advantage, where people were like, "Oh, this poor kid doesn't know what he's doing," like we'll just kind of help him along here. So I was trying to kind of play it like I had no experience, which I guess is true at the same time. Um, so I was trying to use that, but I obviously didn't get very far. I didn't get really much of a chance to kind of really dive into that. But even though it was One World, I have to say, like, you wouldn't even know in the first kind of like 2 hours of the game. We were essentially separate, and there was really no like communication at all between tribes until right before the challenge, really. And then after the challenge, we just separated again. So you really wouldn't even know it was One World, I would say, at the beginning.
What were sort of your expectations?
My expectations?
As a noob, as all of us have been noobs at some point during our LRG careers,
Sure.
what were your did you expect that challenge to show up in a game that you signed up to do? And it's like, oh yeah, I'm going to play Survivor for fun, and it's like, oh man, we're going to do this challenge. Were you shocked by how gamey it was and what the challenges look like?
Hell yeah, I was shocked. I mean, I was like, damn, Will's trying to screw us over on challenge 1. Like, he's going to deplete all our energy immediately. But at the same time, I was like, yo, this is an epic challenge, like classic. Like, who doesn't want to try to do that? And like, so I was excited at the same time. Little did I know it was my only challenge. So I'm happy I got that. I don't know what the other challenges were. But yeah, it was a little intimidating. But, we as I heard you talking too, and like you could see, like we were really pushing ahead, and I think we would have won that if things didn't, happen with the bag and stuff. And I was excited, like I was coming fresh off of just completing a triathlon like the week before, so I was like, I wasn't even like tired. I was like excited and amped and ready to go, and then I rolled my ankle, as you all know. But so I had to drop out. But yeah, it was like a brutal, like, damn, you're really throwing us in right away. But it was exciting at the same time.
Oh, let's see who we got here. John V says, Matt is correct about the little to no interaction between the tribes. We were very awkward on the bench together. and I guess it is true, because you don't want to be, you don't want to be the first person to be like, hey, do you want to go talk?
Right.
Because then it's just instant targets. Okay, so you sprained your ankle. We get to the scrambling, and I have to ask, have you watched Survivor before? Have you watched like reality shows before you did all this?
Yeah, I'm a pretty huge Survivor fan.
Okay.
So I've seen like every season and multiple times. But that's really the only kind of reality TV show I do watch. So like Big Brother and stuff I'm not familiar with, but Survivor definitely,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, because I'm curious, why did you offer yourself as a decoy?
Well, two reasons, honestly. I always thought that was kind of an interesting strategy that no one's maybe ever done before. And what you see in alliances sometimes is that sometimes you have to offer somebody up as a decoy, and whoever is that decoy gets pissed off and says, oh, well, maybe I can't trust these people. So I was like, I offer myself, no one will get mad, really. And maybe this is just some weird, strange strategy that would work. So I was taking a shot at that. And also, too, I figured I'm definitely the target. My name is going to be out there anyway. So, like, if I'm the decoy, oh, well, like, I'm already kind of the name being dropped around. So, like, might as well do it now of all times.
Yeah, I think I can speak from like my experience a little bit. The first round, when you're voting somebody out, it's basically bullshit. Like, you find whatever reason you need to vote the first person out to set the pace of the game. But I would never make myself a decoy, especially if I'm injured, because I'd be like, yeah, guys, I'm injured, but I can do this. It's just a sprain. Like, it's fine. I'm good now. Like, because now they're like, oh, well, he's injured, and he said I'll be a decoy. So you have like multiple groups of players. Basically, I'm voting him because he's injured. No, I'm voting him because he's a decoy. And then now you've compounded your numbers to unfortunately be eliminated.
I mean, for sure. I mean, that maybe didn't help me, for sure. Probably didn't. But, at the time, me and John Ass were pretty close with like, we got this kind of alliance going on. And then, well, really before it kind of blew up with Andrew, but me, him, and shoot, I'm drawing a blank. Alex were talking. I think the four of us, and we were saying they told me Dave. So like, okay, we're gonna do Dave. So that was four right there, and then I think we're gonna try to rope in Nathan. So like, well, we need to tell the other people something too. So like, who are we gonna? Because they were also talking to Dave. So like, who are we gonna tell Dave? So like, nobody was gonna volunteer themselves in that moment of the four of us. So I was like, well, it just only makes sense that it's me. So like, yeah, I probably not good to throw my name out there, but like it was really, it felt like it was the only option anyway at the same time with the decoy. So yeah, that's why I went for it.
No, Matt,
And how did? Yeah, Andrew, because I think Andrew's name was out there briefly, right?
I mean, not even really. Like I didn't want to vote Andrew. I don't think that was even like really an option. I think, well, I didn't even know who Brown was. I think he had like clothes or something. You could see I was truly confused. Or maybe they didn't show that, but like when I told Andrew and Alex, they came up to me and they were like, so I just talked to John, and they were like, what do you think? And I was like, somebody with Brown. I'm not sure who they were even referring. I was like, I was so confused. And then he turned around and showed me his shirt, and my face just, it was honestly hysterical. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, wow, I'm fucked now. But like, I wasn't even pitching his name. I was just saying, hey, this is the name I'm hearing. I don't even know who this is. But I don't think it was even like a legitimate kind of pitch anyway.
It's one of those miscommunications that will get you in so much trouble these games.
Yeah, I love that. Loose lips sink ships for sure, right there.
Yeah, but that one, yeah.
Andrew has a fun confessional, and then that happens, and then they cut to Andrew's confessional the next time, and he's like full on pissed off mode. He gets the episode title in that confessional.
He has stupid ankles.
And I'm like, wow, his demeanor like totally changed obviously within the span of this episode, within like 10 minutes. But it's like, wow, he's absolutely upset, and this is great television.
I'm not even upset, honestly. Like me and my girlfriend were watching, and we were dying. Like we loved that confessional. We thought it was hysterical. Like she goes, like, he is my favorite part of the show. Oh, besides you, of course. I was like, no. He's definitely the best part, honestly. Like, no hard feelings at all. I thought it was amazing.
Well, Matt,
Andrew, I love Andrew. He's so much fun to play with.
We both played with Andrew over the summer, and yeah, he's a good dude.
I was like, where was that Andrew at? Because I didn't see that one.
I think he was nervous because he broke the bag, so I think he was already like self-conscious, like, oh, I hope I'm not a target, and then he heard his name through me, unintentionally. So it just kind of sparked it in him, and yeah,
he heard Brown.
Well,
so Matt, during the cast assessment, and I've been waiting to ask you this. I was hoping it would be later in the show, but like
I knew you were gonna ask me already.
Russell Hantz.
I knew it was coming.
You say in your pregame interview, oh man, I want to play like Russell Hantz. And I'm like, man, I was really liking this dude. He's a professor, right?
You lost me too in that one, Andrew. I was like Andrew fan, and then you said Russell Hantz, and I was
it was like Russell Hantz, and then you doubled down on it, but you were like other people, but Russell Hantz. And I'm like, I'm out on Matt. And then the episode happens. Like, no, I think I'm back on Matt. I think I'm team Matt again because he's actually playing now. He's not being a shitbag, so we're all good here.
So now, Matt, leave it up with the fans.
At what
Can you
point,
talk about? Go ahead, Coach. I'm sorry.
Oh no, sorry. At what point while you were out there did you realize I can't do this, I can't do that? Let me just do Matt.
Well, let me clarify that. Like, when I say I want to play like Russell, I don't idolize him. I don't think he's like a good person. Everyone can probably objectively say like he treats people hard. Like, so that's not what I'm doing. What I more meant was that like he plays to get to the end, right? He doesn't play to win. So what I wanted to do was channel his his strategic tactics, which arguably he is a good player of how to get ahead and kind of do these kind of big sneaky moves. Just the way he, kind of delivers it is just really, offensive. So like using those tactics, but then flavoring it with I mean, I'm a counselor. Like I'm not going to be an asshole. Like that's just not me. So like using his strategies, but in a nice way where I don't burn every relationship I have. Which is why I was mentioning him, but I also mentioned other people like Tony. Like Tony, I think is probably one of the best players ever. He's very like psychological player, so I like him a lot. So that's what I meant more so about Russell. Like he gets to the end every time. Well, except for that one time. But so that's what I meant. But I'm definitely acknowledging, like, yeah, he's probably not the best person in the world.
Okay, you've cleared it up with the
By
fans.
the way,
All 10 of the fans they're back on the Matt train. So Matt, we get to tribal council. At this point, do you know it's you when you sit down, or you like where do you think the winds are going?
yeah, it's like 95% chance me, 5, 10 maybe. I was even too as we're walking up, actually, Amir whispers to me and he goes, "You're getting more votes than you think." And I was like, well, I think I'm getting all the votes actually, but I just didn't say. I was like, okay, thanks for letting me know, which was a nice gesture, honestly. I think he was just prepping me. So I was pretty confident it was going to be me, and honestly, I'm pretty grateful that it was me. In the end, my ankle was bad, so if I stayed, I know I would have pushed myself and like hurt myself more. So I'm actually really grateful. So there's no bad blood at all. But I'm pretty confident at that point that yeah, it's going to be me. But maybe there's a slight chance that like these relationships I built were enough, and I tried to pitch like, we have enough strengths that we can spread out what we need in the tribe, and like, don't worry about me in the future. Like, you won't have to worry about me physically when we're individual. You can destroy me. And I tried to make that pitch, so I thought that's like my one shot. But yeah, I was like, either the relationships are there and they trust me for the long run, or not, and probably not. So I was not surprised.
Yeah. And being that you guys are kind of played together for a couple of hours now, is there anyone that you played with where you're like, I definitely have their vote at least that didn't vote for you to stay?
For me to stay or to vote me out?
Yeah, for you to vote for somebody else.
So is somebody else going to vote with me, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, the one person I connected with the most was John S. So we felt like we were on the same page, and you can see and you can hear it in his confessionals. Like he really didn't want to burn me, and I reached out to him. I was like, "Thanks, dude. Like that was really genuine, and I really appreciate what you said." So I think if I didn't get her, we definitely could have done something. But like he had to vote for me. He had no choice, right? So I'm not upset about that. So I thought I was hoping that like maybe him and me were working together. Me and Nathan talked a little bit too about like sticking together. But I think Nathan is kind of doing that with everybody. It seems like after seeing all the confessionals and stuff. So I thought maybe John, maybe Nathan, and I was hoping Andrew and Alex would be with me. But again, I really wasn't feeling anything that legit was going to work out for me.
Yeah, well, Andrew Brown, so he had no chance.
I mean, I have no idea who was pissed at me, but
Matt, do you think you'll ever play again?
Sorry?
Coach, that was going to be my last question.
Sorry.
Don't answer that, Andrew.
You mean don't answer that, Matt.
Sorry, Matt. Yeah, Matt, sorry.
I didn't hear it, honestly.
Okay, good, perfect. Matt, let's play a game of hypotheticals, okay? You're not injured. You have control of the vote. Who would you have voted out first?
If I had control, honestly, I know I voted for Dave, but that was only because they said to. And I was like, I'm at your mercy right now. Probably the person I would have went for. Like, it's hard in the beginning because there's like no reasons to vote somebody out. So the only person I kind of thought could make sense was Amir, in the sense that he went away, he could have something. And he said, "Oh, I lost my vote." But to be honest, I didn't believe that. I sensed that wasn't right, wasn't true. And it would have worked out if we voted for him because he had the idol. I mean, I have no idea what happens with that idol. But I thought that was just a little suspicious. And again, like you mentioned before, like nobody wants to put the target on their back with like saying like, oh, it's one where let's spread out. And we were all just staying close together. But he was the one person. There's nothing wrong with this, but he was the one person that was like, oh, let's go talk to them. And I wanted to as well, but like felt like it was the time to like bond with the tribe. So he was the only one spreading out. So again, you're just looking for any reason. So that was the only thought I had. But maybe it made me worried in the sense like, oh, if there's some kind of swap, would he be, tribe strong at that point, or would he just turn over or win a merge? So it was just a little hard to trust some things in that moment. So that was my only thought of where I would take it.
Got it. All right, last question. Would you do anything differently other than obviously not get injured?
The only thing, I mean, there's a couple of things. I mean, I should have, since it was Wonder, I should have went over to like Gibble and tried to pry some information out of him. Like if he told me that Amir had some advantage or something, maybe I could use that to my advantage. But I think at that point I was like getting medical attention. I didn't even know who went on the other tribe until I saw the show. But I think the only thing I maybe could have done, but I don't think it would have mattered in the end, was volunteer myself to go to the summit. I could have pitched it like, this might be my only chance. Like, I know I'm hurt. Can you all I just took one for the team, could you let me go? And as you saw, it would have been an idol, so I would have definitely played it for myself. But, in that moment, I was like, do I want to go? And I figured if there is an idol, like, it would just get me to one spot ahead, right? And this is the time to form relationships that'll get you long-term. So I was like, I need long-term relationships right now to establish it. And if I missed out on that, I'll definitely have no shot in the game. So I have to just take that shot. So that's maybe the only other option I could have done. But in the end, I don't think it would have mattered. It would have just got me one more round ahead.
Yeah, Gibble just. I think during that round, I was too busy lying to my tribe to lie to Matt.
We didn't even talk about that part.
Oh my god!
It was.
I know you're great, though. I love you.
Gibble's sitting there telling everything. It's like, okay, at 3 different points, I'm like, all right, just stop now. Just shut the fuck up and we're good. Like, you'll probably be fine. And he just kept on going. It's like, okay, no, it's fine. He'll shut up at this point. And then I think when he finally got to the rocks, it's like, we have to pick this rock and this rock. It's like, oh my god, just stop talking and you'll be fine. And I don't know who it was. I think I can't remember who, but they brought up his hat, and I'm like, okay, you're reading the room wrong, but you're right that he's lying.
Yeah,
it was next. Okay, but you're right that he's lying. It's like, dude, just shut up and you'll be fine. But I yes, exactly. I wanted to touch on. I mentioned this during the cast assessment. Amir's so funny because he is a prime example of someone, much like John B, that I would be friends with in real life, but I would never want to play with. And everything in this episode pointed me in that direction of like, yeah, you're right. This is someone that you would love to hang out with in your real life. But like, he reminds me of 2 players from Survivor. One, Tasha Fox in Cagayan, the first time she played. And then Say in this season, where it's like, man, people are trying to socialize and doing all this stuff. And I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to wheel and deal. The way the episode is edited, it makes it look like when they finally come over, or when y'all finally go over to the other tribe, that he's leading the way. And I don't know, Matt, can you add more insight to that? He was the one that, okay.
If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure he was like, let's go socialize finally. I mean, he was trying to say that before, actually. But we're like, not yet. But then at that point, it was like, okay, fine, let's do it finally. So yeah, I think he initiated that.
Amir to me, like, he's one of those players that I'm attracted to. Like, I want to play with you because I know you're not afraid to do shenanigans because he understood the game and he said, okay, we probably had 10, 15 minutes with this group who is my tribe. Let's go immediately socialize with the other group because you only have like an hour to 2 in the beginning to really build bonds, and you don't know when tribal or when the challenges are going to happen. So just every moment counts, at least in my experience.
Yeah.
Okay, Coach, you can now ask the last question.
Matt, as a newbie to the LRG community, we've all been it before, and I know you said you were fine with getting voted up first because of where your injury was going. Do you think you would ever do another game again?
I would love to do another game, honestly. Yeah, it didn't deter me that I got out first. I know, like it kind of just makes you want to try it again, right? Really, like I feel like, well, I didn't even get my experience. Like I gotta go back and get it again now. So yeah, definitely.
I'm glad because I know that both org and LRG wise, people that are new to the community that get voted out early kind of just get turned off to it and they don't want to do it. But I'm glad to hear it. As I think you're the only newbie on this cast. The fact that you, as the first boot, say that you would want to do this again I think it's great.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. Thanks for the encouragement.
Yeah, and play again. You were a joy to watch, and you have this like nice energy about you. I definitely think that you would last longer in a different game under different circumstances. So apply. Any other questions for Matt, y'all? Or I'm going to give Matt the final word before I give shout out and stuff. Coach Matt Johnson.
Oh,
questions.
Well, Matt, was banner in the background of your intro of your thing of your cast assessment video?
Was it a what?
Your intro video, was that a Hufflepuff banner in the background?
I was gonna say my last question for you is: do you think I'm a Hufflepuff now?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Now, absolutely, we accept you.
I am a Hufflepuff.
Yeah, we'll represent all day here. Like we're good. We're good.
Hufflepuff gang.
Just got a new Harry Potter tattoo, so yes, Hufflepuff all the way.
I forgot to ask. Oh yeah, Bill, tell me what. Okay, Matt, anything else you'd like to say to everyone watching about your experience playing Stranded?
No, yeah, just that, this cast is just, they are the friendliest, but the most, strategic and playing hard people. They obviously don't really know too much what happened, but we're in a group chat and you hear them talking about the game, and they're just like a lot of love despite, it's a competition. So it's just it's a really great crew, and I'm excited to see how it really pans out too. So thanks for having me.
Of course. Thank you, Matt. Thank you so much for stopping by, and hopefully we'll see you in another LRG soon. Have a good night.
Thank you. Take care.
All right, y'all. We got to wrap it up. But Matt J, I have a question for you. Can you give us a little teaser what to expect from the next episode?
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna be honest. No, I barely looked at it, if I'm being so honest. But what I will say is that I think we're seeing like bits and pieces being of lore being dropped throughout this whole 96 minutes or whatever it is. I'm so excited to see what more comes out of this, because I think that there's something brewing, and I think these players are playing so hard right off the bat, even with like what ended up being like a pretty much like unanimous vote. Like there was still a lot of real hard game talk, and so yeah, some spicy confessionals. I have to shout out. I mean, Andrew's confessional was amazing, but I have to give an honorable mention to Bex talking about Gibble's hat. That absolutely sent me when I watched.
That was hilarious.
I'm obsessed with her. I'm rooting for her. I'm rooting for Ymir. I love this whole cast, honestly. They're so much fun.
Oh, Troy, you want us to rank everybody? Troy's last.
We can do top three. We can do top three for the episode.
Okay, well, Troy's not in the top three.
Troy's not in the top three for the episode. No, we're not going to blow up his ego like we did during the cast assessment.
I still haven't got my Venmo payment for that ego boost that I did during the cast assessment, Troy. Okay, so top three, Coach. Who you got?
Okay, so I wish I had more time to think. Okay, so I'm gonna do a dark horse and say Brooke for number 3, because yes, perception, probably, if no one's ever did a single game ever and they look at Brooke, and I said this during the assessment, oh, small woman, whatever. And Brooke was able to carry not only in the confessionals, but in the strategizing, and especially in a very physical challenge. She was one of the last 4 people to survive. And I think that is that's going to be very telling for people that try to use some bullshit of like, we got to get rid of the weaker people. It's like, well, can't say her because she survived, and almost half the cast didn't survive that challenge. For number 2, I feel like everyone's going to have to say, I feel like, Santi's going to have the same number 1 as me. But for number 2, oh, goodness. It would have to be someone from the tribe that had to vote, but I'll just say Dave because it's Dave. But number 1 is Amir, because he was able to carry during the challenge, even though they lost. They lost, but like I said, he sprinted the entire time. He was able to tell his tribe, hey, just send me to the summit. It's all good. Don't worry. We're all on the same page. You can trust me. Get there and say, hey, Gibble, don't worry. If you want me to pass you something during one world, we're all good. I'll pass you something during one world. It gets an idol, and almost nobody says his name the entire time. I think that is a great start. I fear for him because he came out very hot, but shit, if it works, it works. So those are my top 3.
I don't have a top 3. I'm missing a give based off entertainment value. So the first person I selected is Gibble. I am a Gibble fan. So I just love, he's like a little Tasmanian devil that he just comes in and just says all this shit that he probably shouldn't say. But I would have so much fun playing with him. And I think I like the way he's playing. I feel like, though, maybe we'll see how this happens, but I feel like he's going to become one of those players where the warring alliances all agree to vote him out. But hopefully that doesn't happen and we get a little bit more Gibble. Amir, I've already talked about Amir. I like his gameplay. I like his style. Like, he is definitely going to be a player to watch. Andrew, because of that confessional. That shit was so funny. And then last, I did 4. I didn't do 3. I put Bex because she's a badass. And that challenge, like the fact that challenge made her throw up tells me that was a pretty fucking hard challenge. So she's won competitive events, and that's a long game. It's like 13, 15 hours. So that is a testament to how well of a player she is. So if that challenge made her throw up, girl, I would be scared of it. So those are my rankings.
Tough. She's tough for sure. I was so proud of her watching that. Okay. I also had 4, but I was about to kick one out. So I'm gonna be very diplomatic about this, and I'm gonna do it in no particular order, and it's strictly based on like this episode. So strictly based on what we saw. I'm gonna give a shout out to Megan, because Megan is in multiple alliances that have where the only overlap between them is her, and being the only like female presenting player on her tribe, I truly feel like she is going to be protected for a long time. And also she vibes really well with the guys on her tribe. Like, she's very naturally endearing and like warm. She has a very like warm and inviting energy about her. That's very disarming. I think that everyone is going to underestimate her from a strategic standpoint. They definitely shouldn't. And I think that she's gonna make it far. I think Nathan has a lot of skills. I watched him on Mole, Ohio. He's very charismatic. He's a little devious, but he knows when to roll it back and be subtle about it. He's really smart. I think he's hot. So he's going to make it really far. And also, sorry, I just had to slip that in there, but it's fine.
Was there an audio break? I didn't hear that.
No, you don't. You watch it back later. And I think I have to say Bex. I'm obsessed with her energy. I love that it's actually really close between her and Brooke, but I think just something about Bex. She's just so likable, and she has a great track record of making it far, strictly on not strictly, but she has a great social game. The fact that like 3 or 4 people approached her about an alliance and she literally didn't have to do anything. I mean, that's power. So I'm excited for those 3. I think they're gonna do great.
Well, you say he's hot. I'll say Bex is hot. We'll go. We'll do a cheers to that.
Cheers to that with my personal stake. Here you go.
It was me in the chat. I didn't realize, y'all, I had a blonde moment when I typed in the chat, drag him again. That was me. Sorry, I could have used my personal YouTube account. Sorry, my reality games. My apologies. All right, you guys. Well, we're at the top of the hour. Let's go ahead and Coach, is there anything you want to say? What do you got going on? Anything you
I am. We're covering the finale of Traders at 3 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Mucky Hope Productions on YouTube. We're also covering Survivor US on Mondays on Mucky Hope Productions around 5:30 EST. And they're also covering Survivor Australia, whatever days of the week that Survivor Australia comes out. So there's that. Mucky Hope Productions on YouTube and Instagram.
Awesome, Coach. Thank you. What about you, Matt? Where can they find you?
Yeah, if you want to see more of my beautiful, visually resplendent face, you can follow me on Instagram at _Matt.Johnston. And if you want to see my LRG that I hosted, you can search up DeSales Big Brother on YouTube or TikTok. There's some clips on YouTube and there's some clips on TikTok. I didn't do a good job of posting to both places, but there's some really fun content on there. And I will say it's been a while. I've missed hosting. I've missed being involved in the LRG world. I'm so excited to be doing this. But if you follow me, check back for maybe something this summer. Don't hold me to that, but I really want to do something again. So if you are in the Delaware, PA area, just stay posted. You never know.
I'll come back to that in a second, Matt. I wanted to thank you guys for allowing me to host this. You can catch us every Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern here on Live Reality Games. If you like what you saw, please hit like and subscribe on all the social channels. It may not be me and Coach every week. We might just alternate through host. Matt, you're welcome to come back whenever you want. We can always talk about the game whenever you want. And the reason I said I'll get back to that, Matt, is because if you, like other players out there, want to play a Live Reality Games, please follow Live Reality Games at LRG_casting on Instagram. And for the non-male presenting players out there, please apply to Stranded Season 2. We would love to see an even balance. You can find those applications on their Instagram at Stranded_LRG and on YouTube. And if you guys like me enough and would like to help me win an advantage in the next LRG I'm playing, please head over to MidwestCharityTrials.org and donate. I am currently above my goal, but now I can get a chance to get an advantage, and I would love to do that. So thank you guys. Have a great night, and we will talk to y'all soon.
Bye.
Bye.